right, welcome back everybody. Today we are discussing Trias. We're going to be talking about chart analysis, some price predictions, where we're headed from here, and then some bullish news as well. So let's dive right in. What I have up here is the 4-hour candle chart. We are looking at the chart with the 200-day and 100-day moving averages above here. So first thing I want to mention is just talking a little bit about how we got to the most recent breakout. So basically we had, this falling wedge occur for, basically almost 3 months, almost 3 full months here, from early November to February. We finally broke out of this falling wedge pattern. And once you saw that, you saw us stand on top of that wedge and then move a little bit further to the upside. And now we're trying to maintain that bullish structure as we move further to the upside. Now that we've kind of covered that, I want to talk a little bit about just general moving average patterns that I've seen here with Trias, particularly with the 200-day moving average. So that's that blue line right here. Now with this 200-day moving average, with this 200-day moving average, I want you to be very, very vigilant to the times in the chart where we are below it. So that would be most recently here, and then back in middle of 2021, roughly May to July, you see that occurring here. And for each time frame here, we are seeing that the chart falls below that 200-day moving average for about 2 months to 2.5 months. Happens from May to July here, and then late November to early February here. So about the same timeline, and then we see a breakout not only above the 100-day but also the 200-day. We see a stand above the 200-day here, and then we see it kind of bounce off that 200-day and then find a push to the upside once it consolidates above that 200-day. Now, as we all know, no one has a crystal ball in crypto, right? But when we're trying to look at and expect and predict where we might be headed next, it's always important to be looking at where we moved prior. So what I would be looking for here in kind of the coming weeks is a stand on that 200-day moving average. We'll go into a little bit more granular detail about where we're going to go next, but do want to see that stand on the 200-day. I think we might consolidate a bit after this, move to the upside. As you can see down here, we're up 33% just in the week. And I believe, just in the last couple days, we've been up even more. So yep, just about, 40%. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary to consolidate a little bit here, but I do want to point out that the only other time we've been below the 200-day moving average for 2 months was this time in the chart. And we can see what happened after over the next few months. From that low, we went, about 300% before consolidating again and pulling back. And then obviously we had that incredible move up towards $30 after that. So not saying obviously that we're going to break out and run all the way up, past the all-time high or anything like that, but just good to note that we are seeing, a lot of these same patterns that we saw when we broke out previously. So now that we have addressed some of that with the moving average, I want to move over to the daily candle chart. We're going to talk a little bit about where we might be headed in the future and the current structure of the chart. So the first thing I just want to kind of frame up here is, there was a lot of worry when we fell down, from that $30 nearly all-time high all the way down, to $5. A lot of panic, obviously, and you can see that in the red candles here, that, we're coming at a quick pace. But even though we had that aggressive downturn, I think it's important to maintain this kind of zoom out perspective, right? If you zoom out, we still have a long-term bullish structure, right? We haven't broken a previous low yet, right? We've set in a higher high, a higher low here, meaning that this low before we bounced is higher than this low, and this low is higher than this low. So we're continuously putting in higher lows, which is always good to see from a structural standpoint on a long-term chart. So even though, you know, some of these dives in crypto and specifically Trias is extremely volatile, it's really, really good to kind of frame up from a long-term perspective, okay, you know, we do still have that bullish structure, right? And so that's just something to keep in mind before we dive into this. So now talking about where we might be headed next, I want to pull up a Fibonacci extension to look at some of the key levels for Trias here coming up. So first thing I want to mention is you're seeing this kind of battling resistance over in the last 3 or so days. You can see that there was some sort of rejection here, but you're also noticing that there is no fib there. What we're seeing with that rejection level is this previous support that we're trying to flip into resistance. So right now, that previous support sits just around 670, a little bit higher than that. Essentially just below $7. $7 is a pretty key level. But you can see that we're kind of getting rejected almost right at that $7 level. And that's because we're trying to flip this previous support into our new resistance to the upside. And if we can flip this support right here, there's a good chance that our new resistance is upwards of $8, which gives us a good chance at the 10.6 next key level on the fib. So that's what we're fighting right now. I would assume now if we draw this out, let's say here, and we'll match the fib. I would say that, if Bitcoin behaves, if we maintain kind of the structure that we have now, and there isn't some sort of, crazy selling pressure, I wouldn't be surprised if, we get we're obviously going to be battling this $7 level here that we want to flip again into resistance. But if we end up being able to stand and close the weekly above this level, I'm going to assume that we kind of head into that consolidation phase between the $10 and $7 levels, similar to what we saw back here, right? When we drew that before, this is kind of the initial run up after that long period under the 200-day moving average. And then after that kind of quick run up, we saw a weak consolidation here, and weak meaning a week long, not weak as in strength. So we saw a weeks long consolidation before the next move to the upside. So it's really hard to say how long this one will be. But I would say, most likely we're going to see somewhat of a consolidation sideways movement, especially since, and as we said before, especially since, we've gone, 40% to the upside in a matter of a week, even less, right? So that's something else to note. The other thing that's kind of backing that sentiment of consolidation coming up next before another move to the upside is the fact that our RSI is pushing up and actually got rejected at, it's not an overbought number, but 57, up near 60, closer to 80 than, our $30 level on the oversold marker on the RSI, right? So we're seeing that bounce rejection off of the $60 marker RSI, and we're seeing that come back down. And if you're not familiar with RSI, it's overbought, oversold very, very quickly. And typically when you're seeing the chart kind of operate in this higher motion and kind of moving, slowly upward, you're going to see that in the chart as well. I can do a deeper dive on RSI if that's something that you guys are interested in. But for the interest in this video, I just kind of want to keep that simple. So going off of the RSI, right, we saw that we became oversold twice before the bounce. So that's about here and here. So we became oversold twice. And the last time that happened was also right here. And that is that bounce on the chart. And also when we broke out above that 200-day moving average right about here in that push to the upside. So that's why I'm kind of looking at this as a fractal mirror between these two areas. If this plays out, it looks like our next key level is going to be in the mid 10s. So 1060 is going to be our next key level. And then after that, we're going to push onward to $14, $17, and $20. And then obviously eventually we want to push to that previous all-time high of about 26. Well, I guess the previous all-time high is actually $32. So Good shot that we go past $32 in our next big run up. Obviously, Bitcoin needs to behave. This is more of a longer term play. Trias is building out for the long term. But that's kind of what I had for you guys today on the chart. I want to go over some quick news here as well. So when Trias finished out the year, just for the last couple months, I want to cover some news here. They finished out, I would say, with a bang. They held an AMA with the CEO, Dr. Angbang. Talked a lot about what's coming up. They've launched two separate products, two being partner projects. Excuse me, I can't speak. Two being partner products here to SEMA and Ethereum, and so these are going to run side by side with Trias, actually on the Trias mainnet, and then also have their own mainnet to open up token economies, applications, and their own ecosystems. So very, very interesting how they're trying to dive into these metaverse plays, especially since Ethereum is a metaverse infrastructure company. So very, very cool to see where they're going to take that. It's really interesting to see how they're going to involve that in the Trias ecosystem and the Trias mainnet. But that's kind of what they were doing towards the end of December. And then most recently, they held a launch meeting for this Ethereum network company, and they held it in Trias, Japan. Had a smaller meeting room because of COVID restrictions, but they were able to kind of meet and host a few folks to kind of launch that project and show their support for that. So that is all I have for Trias today. Just to recap really, really quickly, we are likely going to be consolidating, and this is if we stand on top of this support that we want to flip to resistance. If we stand on top of this, we'll likely be consolidating between $10.60 and $7 for a little bit of time before going back to the upside once more. So be very, very cautious. Obviously, we need to see how Bitcoin behaves. We need to monitor the structure of the chart. But that's kind of what I'm seeing right now, and wanted to get this update out to you guys. So thank you so much for watching. If you found some value in the video, would really appreciate it if you dropped a like. And let me know what other topics you want me to cover. I'm trying to do a little bit more fundamental analysis along with the chart analysis. So I kind of want to bring that aspect into my videos as well and become a little bit more polished on that. So thank you guys so much for the support, and we'll see you in the next video.